Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Enough to Keep Going podcast. And if this was a Battle Royale game, this would be the duo show for right now. This is episode number 90, and it is our GX show. Yes, unfortunately, right now it is only myself, Osiris Prime, and my other host for tonight, Mr. Agaskles Stamos. Agaskles, how are you doing? He's doing okay, maybe. Oh, there
Yeah. I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's a weird setup tonight, so I don't have a ability to mute this lapel mic. Like, there's no inline control.
Oh, for the mic. Yeah.
And so the only way I can mute it is software. But we have two pieces of software running. We have Google Hangouts, but then I have the local OBS recording. So if I mute myself in Google Hangouts, you can't hear me, but whatever noise is going on still gets recorded in the OBS track. So I have to double clutch to to mute and unmute the mic.
All right, I see. Yes, so unfortunately we were supposed to have DBQ Hams on tonight. He may still join us at some point. He's having some power issues at his house right now, so we'll see if he jumps in at 0 hour here. But this, like I said, this is the GX show. This is episode number 90. We're getting inching closer to that century mark. Tonight we'll be talking games and more games here. So before we get to our playlists and our picks plays for the next couple weeks, we will jump into the picks plays from last time, and I don't remember who actually was this you guys, please, that did the picks plays for this week. So this is our spring update, if you will. Getting us into sports related games. I mean, outdoor games. Anything physical activity type of gaming out there. For DB, I'll go through his real quick. He had MLB the Show 19 on the PS4. PGA Tour Golf Shootout on iOS, so mobile. And then one that I also tried to play was the Golf Club on the Xbox One, and I also played that. I tried to play it on the Xbox One. I got through the tutorial, and then I was it just gave you like this whole slew of stuff to go through. So I was a little confused on where I was supposed to go, but it was okay, I guess. It was a little too simmy for me. I mean, I'm more of a Mario Golf, Mario Tennis type of sports game. Not really big into the simulation type games, and this is really a simulation golf game. So they had you can pick your club, switch your guy around wherever you're trying to shoot. But then they had like these different bars and horizontal and vertical. And I was like, oh, this is just too much. I can't get into this right now. So unfortunately, I only got through the tutorial. It was fine. I mean, for what it was. I mean, obviously the graphics looked great. It was cool. I forget. I was gonna look up who created this or who developed it, but I'll look that up in a second. But for what I played, real quick, it was fine. And I think DB played probably a little bit more than me. I think he got to the next area after the tutorial. So we'll see. How he did it for that. Hopefully he'll be able to jump in. But I guess Cleese, you actually also had another, or you also played one of DB's games, and that was MLB the Show 19. How was that for you?
It was good. So this is surprisingly, it's my third time going back to that series. When I bought it, I thought I just had. For some reason in my head, I had skipped a year. I was absolutely convinced, and so I didn't think I had MLB 18. Turns out I do and did. So when I booted the game up, and I did a digital download for this thing. When I booted the game up, the first thing it asked me was, did I want to basically port my MLB 18 series in? And I was initially like, well, I didn't know that I had an MLB 18 series, or 18 MLB 18 game save. So I elected not to do that because I still want to go back and play some more of 17 and 18 at some point when I have time. But it's been really good. There's a few things that have happened this year, and I realize I really regret. I mean, I regretted DBQ not making it anyway tonight, but I forgot that we needed to have this MLB streamcast, spoiler cast. So I think the biggest thing for me is it feels like the batting model has changed this year. And Prime, I think you normally play. I'm sorry, I've been up a very long amount of time. So I think you played Madden pretty frequently when it comes out.
Well, yeah, I did. I
Okay.
haven't the last couple of years, but more or less, yeah.
Okay. So I think you might remember a particular year where they really squelched down on the running game, because in the previous season, you had just been able to bust like ridiculously long gains off of run plays. Um, but one year in recent history, like in the last 5 years, they specifically really cranked down on that and really made you work between the tackles for runs. In a similar fashion, it feels like they've tamped down on the batting game this season. So in both 17 and 18, usually within the first 1 to 3 games, I was able to just go off on a tear, and like just a typical regular game of nine innings of baseball would look like my team had had been to a home run derby. Um, so I have not experienced that this year at all. Pitching is pretty tough, and batters don't just naturally connect with the ball, just for GP. So it's been pretty interesting. So I've played, I think, 3 or 4 games. I think 4 games, and I've won one game 2-0. I've can't remember exactly how it goes. So I think 2-0. I think I lost a game 5-2. I think I won a game 9-2. Lost a game 0-3. And maybe I won another game like 3-0. So scoring has been statistically realistic in my mind, and it's one of those games where I think I've talked about there was a PlayStation 2 version of Madden that I had like every few years for I feel like for your any given gamer's favorite sports franchise, a version will come out that at default settings is just naturally mapped to your gameplay style and approach. That results in, again, like statistically realistic seasons, and you don't have to go in and spend like those 3 to 5 hours kind of experimenting, trying to get the sliders exactly right to get the gameplay that you're looking for. So yeah, I've been particularly happy about that. And of course, presentation, quality and details are up this year as they are continuously. I think I've won. I've gotten like 2 trophies so far, which I don't even know what I did entirely to like get the trophies. So I mean, it's weird in that it's like it's one of these games that I play that maybe it's not. I mean, it's not going to get like game of the year or anything, but like I have nothing but positive things to say about it. Like I can't think of a knock against the game.
Yeah, I've always heard good things about the show series. So, I mean, it's the only baseball, really. I mean, I guess one of the only baseball games is RBI that just started recently in the last few years. So, I mean, but that's more. I think that's more kind of arcadey, or at least it used to be those first couple times it came out.
Right.
So,
All right. So now you tried a sports game out of your own, did you?
yeah. So actually, it was the Golf Club 2. That was. I'm sorry, it wasn't the first because they have 1 and 2. And it was the second one that we both played.
Okay.
But that's from HB Studios, which it looks like they've worked on a lot of stuff with EA, NBA Live 19, Madden 15, Need for Speed Nitro, which I'm not sure what that is. So I don't know if that's like a mobile game, maybe. I don't know. So,
it could be a mobile game.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm pretty certain it's one of the horrible ones.
One of the not good ones. Let's say that.
Which we'll come back to that later in this conversation.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, it just it wasn't for me. But then the other one I played, if you want, sports game, I'm going to call it Rocket League. It's soccer with cars, but it's soccer. So I played that on the Xbox One and the Switch. And obviously, actually, they just had their second season Rocket League Pass startup. So, and it looks like they took a little bit of a break in between seasons, which most games don't do when they have like a season pass like that, or battle pass. It's probably like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month, like a whole month. So they stretch it out a little bit. But I'm having fun with that. It's my go-to. It's my new, as I like to call it now, my new Call of Duty, because it's my go-to game when I just want to kind of just relax, play a game or two real quick, and I can jump out. So, but yeah, I've been having fun with those 2 games. I was gonna put Trials on here, but I'll talk about that one later because that's not really. I mean, I guess it's outdoorsy, but it's not really sport per se. So, but anything else on sports front for you? Or anything else about the show?
No, I mean, it's just like I said, I really can't speak highly enough of it.
Who's your team?
So I'm playing the Kansas City Royals again, which is a team that I also played for either my 17 or 18 season. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
All right. So let's jump into our playlists here. I'll go first real quick here. On the Xbox One, there's only one game I've really been, well, I guess 2 games besides Rocket League. But playing a lot of Fortnite still. So off and on with my son. Also, we'll get to play sometimes during the week and on the weekends. Going through Season 8 still. I think that's got at least a couple weeks left, I believe. There's a lot of going.
So one thing I want to ask you, so are you streaming it when you play?
No, not Fortnite.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Yeah. The only thing I've been streaming lately is when we play Sea of Thieves, which I haven't played in the last few weeks, but we've been playing kind of regularly before that.
Because I saw that there was like you mentioned, there's lots of hubbub and angst from Fortnite players, and I mean, man, we just have some get off my lawn stuff to decompress over the next couple months. But I mean, this is one of these things, unfortunately, that I think that you get when a game is free, and you have a lot of people playing it who feel like there are things that they deserve, even though they haven't contributed, right? To I don't know. So anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted your flow. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. So yeah, I mean, one of the major things, and we'll talk about it since this is 2 of us now. We can talk to each other here. One of the big things that's been happening lately is they took out. So basically, when you got a kill before an elimination, the person would drop health and what they call mats, which is basically like either wood, rock, or metal, which lets you do the building stuff that you can do in that game. Well, they took that out in just the normal mode, duos and squads and stuff. So you don't drop health or the mats anymore. And you just drop guns. So I would say a lot of people, but really it's like a lot of streamers who got kind of PO'd on that, and because now they're saying, oh, you're just catering to the casuals now. I mean, I guess yes. I mean they are a business, and they're trying to get everybody involved here. The thing is though, they still have those drops in the new arena mode that they that they released recently.
Yeah.
So I mean it's still there, and the arena mode seems more geared to these higher level players. You rank up. You go from like rookie and then champion or quarterfinals and then to the championship league, and and you have to you get different points for kills and lasting longer.
So they have ranks, but is the matchmaking ranked? Because I felt like they're still not. They have all these ranks and stuff in arena, but it's not matchmaking like 99% of every other game that's a first person shooter. Like when you go into matchmaking, it tries to pair you up with people of similar skill.
Yeah, correct. The arena is it's the point system. So however points you get each time you get a kill, and lasting however many long in the match, and I don't know if they count any other things, but it's just a points based system basically. So the more points you have, obviously, the more you rank up faster. Supposedly, the matchmaking is in the regular modes, which I was watching one streamer at one point, and he actually went back on his wife or girlfriend or something onto her account, and she only played like a few games, so she's basically still a rookie. And I mean, it pretty much looked like he was getting matched up with pretty much the same kind of level that she was. So at least in just the regular modes, it's still there. But So yeah, I mean that's like one of the big hubbubs, and people have some other like gripes here and there, just on the season in general. I haven't had any problems, mostly because this is the first time I actually got a battle pass, only because it was free for the previous season. You're able to do like a certain number of challenges. I think I talked about that, and so I've just been having fun doing that and unlocking stuff. So it's no big deal, and I actually have enough. The V-Bucks is the in-game currency that I can actually buy the next season's battle pass now, so which is kind of cool. And I'm not even. I'm probably 3/4 of the way through the battle pass, and I already got enough to get the next season. So I mean that's cool. But yeah, I mean I've been enjoying it, and like I said, even playing with my son is even it's always better to play with somebody that and that obviously that you can talk to and stuff like that. So we're doing that. So that's pretty much all I've been playing, other than Rocket League on the Xbox One. I haven't really touched any other games recently on there. I think well, other than the Golf Club 2, that was the only other thing. So, but that's enough for Fortnite. Let's go back to Need for Speed. It looks like you're playing on an older version here, Hot Pursuit, on the PS3.
Yeah. So this year, between all the other things that I'm doing and things that I started, I will say I feel like one of the things that's going well is I'm being a lot more disciplined, which been trying to get to this point about my playlist, right, of sequencing the games that I want to play. I have kept this PlayStation 3, since the console generation rolled over to the 4, and I got my PlayStation 4 in like February of 2014. Now, normally I would have gotten rid of my PlayStation 3, but there were so many games on it that I still wanted to play. So, so that PlayStation 3, has been around, 5 years longer than it normally would have. I've definitely not gotten 5 years, return on investment out of keeping it and trying to dig back into that library. So, uh, so in my personal playlist, the assignment that came up was to go back and revisit Need for Speed, which makes for a very cool kind of month-long arc. Because if I what was I going to say? If I go back beyond like this reporting period, I was on the PlayStation 3 and I played Gran Turismo 5. So I had a bit of a nostalgia play going back on the PlayStation 3. Beyond that, and then I went to the Xbox and played some Trials Rising, and then I went back to Need for Speed. So I've kind of been steeped in this whole motorsports oriented gameplay for the last month or so. But going back and playing that game, man, it is very much kind of like the Just Cause of car games, because every time you start it up, right, the great allure to it, and what makes it fun streaming it, right, too, is it is chaos and anarchy. You have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea how things are going to wind up, and you could play the same 5 events and then play the same 5 events over again, and you're still going to get that effect. And then in historical retrospect, I didn't realize at the time that I was playing it, but this now becomes what is for me my last great Need for Speed game. So this was the 16th game in the franchise, and I think they've done by now 21 or 22 games in the franchise. And so the reality is, on the way the development arcs have gone, is I haven't liked, and really, I really haven't liked the Need for Speed since 2010's Hot Pursuit on the PlayStation 3. I played a lot of Most Wanted, but Most Wanted was kind of one of those things that I tolerated that I didn't really like. That was Criterion's second assignment out of the Need for Speed, studio group. The first one being Hot Pursuit. But I felt Hot Pursuit, what they did was they tried to take a lot of their approach to gaming, and their claim to fame, of course, prior to this, was being the developers of the Burnout series. I felt like they really tried to they tried to replicate what was a traditional Need for Speed game. And then in the second one, I think some creative bug in their ear said, hey, you guys need to make the type of game you normally make. And to me, Most Wanted is much more akin to, Burnout 3 Takedown, than definitely more so, I feel, than its predecessor in the Need for Speed franchise series, Hot Pursuit. So, but otherwise, I just had a really great time going through and knocking down challenges and missions and whatnot. It appears I did not have a game save on this, so I wound up having to start, a lot of those things over.
Yeah, man, I can't even remember the last Need for Speed. It had been before like the 360 and PS3 generation, I think, was the last time I played one. It's been a long time. But Nitro, that Need for Speed Nitro I had mentioned before, was released on the DS and on the Wii. So
okay, yeah. And I think I do remember playing Nitro, maybe on the DS.
I don't remember that at all. So
yeah. But yeah, it's a ton of fun. It has, so many different events and everything to get through. You
is it just like straight races, or is there like an open world?
No, this is it's straight events as far as straight events versus open world. You have a map, and in between events you go into the map, you select what you want. Of course, this was the one that had 2 career tracks or 2 progression tracks. You could play as both the racer and as the cop, and there weren't any seams between that. It's not like, I want to say, like Need for Speed Rivals, which was the one on the PlayStation 4. And I should have said, I liked Need for Speed Rivals. I didn't like it as much as maybe Hot Pursuit, but I did really like it. It didn't get a lot of credit and praise from others, but I liked it. But a Need for Speed Rivals, if you switched, it was a load. So like the game would pop you out of the racer mode, load a bunch of the other assets in the different career track, and then open you back up in the cop mode. But in Hot Pursuit, it was just a map, and every event is either a racer event or a cop event. There's no like transitioning to like a different XP stack or something. Even though it does track, you have discrete cop XP versus racer XP, but it's less jarring. You can, like I said, it's pretty seamless. You just go into the map, you pick an event. It doesn't matter whether it's cops or robbers is the term that I've been throwing around the last week or so while I was talking about it. But you just pick whichever one you want to do, and you go.
Nice. I was gonna say I had a question, and now I can't remember what it was because I was trying to look up something else while I was listening to you. All right, I'm just gonna go on to my next couple of games here real quick, and then if I remember, I'll jump back to you. So on the Switch, now these are just gonna be all Switch games. So at the beginning of the year, kind of a New Year's resolution kind of a thing, I wanted to try to play some more indie games. So I picked one which is called The Way Remastered, which I don't even remember what this game was, originally, but they remastered it. It's kind of, the gameplay is kind of like Flashback, and maybe like the original Prince of Persia, like way back in the day, where it's like just side to side scrolling, and you kind of movement's a little janky. Like it's almost like there's kind of weight to your character. So like when you want to just like when you stop on the stick, you kind of take maybe like a step or two or so, something like that. But it's kind of more of a puzzle game, a little bit different than I usually like to play. But I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. It was pretty cheap at the time. I had some eShop money just kind of sitting there, so I bought this, and I had started it a few months ago and put it down just because everything's coming out. Started back up this past week, and I was like totally lost. I didn't know what was going on or what I needed to do. So, but I kind of started getting in the puzzle area that I was trying to get through. So I think I can hopefully figure it out. I don't want to I hate to restart a game, even though I'm like really not that far into it right now. But I might have to, or just maybe I should, just to try to figure out where I was. But so I tried that out. Also, I've been jumping back into Pokemon Let's Go the last few weeks, actually month or so. I believe I had mentioned this during my train rides into work once a week. So I usually do this game going into work, and then coming back, I'll play Dragon Quest Builders, just because, once again, I kind of dropped off on that game just because everything that was coming out. So both of those games I've been playing at least once a week. Sometimes even Dragon Quest Builders I played a few more times during the week these past few weeks. I like it. That was kind of the RPG slash Minecraft game for people who don't know what that is. So it's the Dragon Quest world, characters and stuff, and then you can break it down and build up stuff that you need. But it's all wrapped around a story. So there's actually a purpose to go through everything. So unlike Minecraft where you can just do whatever you want, build stuff or just explore, do whatever tame animals and farm and stuff like that. But so I'm still in, I think there's like 4 or 5 worlds maybe or so. I'm still in the first world, trying to get through that. So I've been working through that, having a lot of fun. It's kind of cool to have that Minecraft mechanic, but there's actually a story to follow. So if I want to go through the story, I can, or I can just sit there and build or battle all these creatures and stuff. And there's RPG elements, and you have to craft, or you can build weapons, and then you get a forge so you can build better weapons, and all this once you get the metals and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I'm liking it so far, and I know the second one's coming out, believe sometime this year. I don't remember if it was in the fall or maybe the summer. Or so. I'm not even sure if they gave a date for the second one. So I'm really enjoying that right now. And another reason I actually got into Pokemon Let's Go also is in anticipation for the next game coming out this year, which, I mean, they're not related or anything, but I just kind of, it got me back into the Pokemon game, and, just to see how fun it was and stuff like that. So, and also see, was it Sword and Shield, I believe, was the new one coming out this year. So having a lot of fun with those 2 games. So I'm going to keep on trucking with those games. I thought I was going to have to go downtown anymore, but it looks like I will. So I guess I get to play more of both of those games for now. So that's my RPG time, I guess, nowadays. So we'll see how those pan out. Any questions on those 2 games? If not, if you want to jump into your next game, I guess, please, which I have also been playing, which is Trials.
Yeah, is that what's actually next up on my list? Sorry.
Yes. yeah, that's the next one on yours list.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this has been an interesting journey playing this game, because there was a lot of fervor over, I guess, what I think was the 4th one, which maybe dropped earlier last year, or maybe late the year before, of 2017. But
that was Evolution, I believe. Trials Evolution.
Maybe, yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll look it up while you're talking.
Yeah. But it's one of those games that I've always seen as being like the trick game, and so I've never wanted to play it. But this year I wanted to give it a try. Was pleasantly surprised. It is not a trick game, at least not not quite in that vector. And there's nothing, at least I haven't encountered anything outside the training sessions. There's nothing that forces you to do any kind of tricks. There's not. The thing that springs to mind is the events in Need for Speed Underground, where it's a drift track, but you get points for however long you hold a drift, and that's the only way to beat that mission, right, is to stack up a bunch of points. But there's really nothing like that. There's nothing. So Trials Rising is entirely about getting from one end of the run all the way to the other end in the fastest time possible. And so, unfortunately, I banged my head against the wall for about 3 hours or so before I was shutting down and talking myself out of playing this again. And just as I was shutting down, I realized that I might be kind of playing this thing wrong in terms of what I'm making as my primary objective. So I came back the next day and came at it from a different vector, and man, the whole world just opened up for me to play in, and I now I'm on the opposite. It's maybe a hypocritical statement, but I'm on the other side of the mountain, right, where I don't necessarily try and pull off anything extra special in a given run, but I do want to make sure that that I'm able to do a complete homogeneous run. from beginning to end for every track without relying on a checkpoint and respawn, right? Because you get you have a track right from beginning to end. That track might be split up with 5 like checkpoint gates along the way, and so if you wreck at checkpoint gate 3, the game will reset you at checkpoint gate 2, and you can complete the event that way. And um, so I'm trying to do every run, to get through kind of practice, inevitably, right, I'm going to have some with an accident or a fail along the path, but once I complete like a track, what I then go immediately into is, okay, let me try and complete this, by making a clean run with no apologies on on how the run is executed. So I don't know, so you've also played this game, so I am curious as to your thoughts as well.
Yeah. Well, if you read my Slack, my chat there during the week, it was a little bit of frustration just because that's what Trials is. It is, you're going through these tracks and you're trying to learn it, but and that kind of gets frustrating, and I make it more frustrating on myself, really, just because like you said, you want a clean run, but I don't go through the whole thing and fault and keep going. I have to, I go through, if I fault, start all over, just keep doing that back and forth, back and forth. So I probably make, a lot more frustration on myself than, it actually should be. But
yeah, you absolutely do. That's you're not living your best life, man. If you're doing that.
I know.
Like,
I probably should do it. I should just do a run and just get it over with, just so I can get a lay of the land, and then probably should do. Yeah, that's probably
right. And believe me, like my second hop after realizing that like this was not like Super Motocross or whatever, the game from the early 2000s, where you like that one was motocross, and you would go through these tracks and you would do tricks, and the tricks would give you boost, and then that way you could go faster. Once I realized this was not that, the second hop that I did was the exact thing you're talking about, which is, I would insist on always making my first completion a clean run, even if that meant starting over into infinity. I then realized this is not a good approach to playing this game, because what will happen is like I'm sure that right? What will happen is you'll get past, you'll start all the way back at the beginning, you'll get past a section, and then you're highly likely to have an accident in the next section because you don't know what's coming up. So
yeah.
Like you said, I found it better to do kind of like reconnaissance runs until you get through the entire track and then start trying to do your clean runs.
Yeah, the clean run. Yeah, and I'm still on the easy the easy tracks. I think I played a couple of medium ones, and that was only when I was playing online. When you do the online mode, but yeah, it's just me. That's the way I am. I think maybe I will start trying to do it like that. Just do one run regardless. And actually, to go back to what you're talking about earlier, Trials Fusion was the one before this one. So that was kind of like the futuristic. You're kind of like in the future doing stuff. So, and I think that even might have had kind of a loose story, I want to say. So, but I mean, it was still pretty good. I mean, it was Trials. So, but I guess the other thing in this one, the Trials Rising, and you actually brought this up when you first started playing, was the tutorial, which you kind of had to get through before you did anything else, which is, I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, because I played it before. So, I mean, I got through it fairly quickly, but I mean, for newcomers, I mean, that could be frustrating too, just because you got to do it. You don't have to do it totally perfectly because there's like grades. I think you can get like a C maybe, and you can pass, as like A, B, C, D. But still, I can see where you got that frustration, and I can see where other people might be like, what the, what is this? Why can't I just, open up the world and just let me loose? But, and you're able to do that pretty much before, but I don't know why they decided to do it like that this time around. So, and once you got past like the second or third, maybe even four, I think it's like the third one, that kind of, they let you loose on the other tracks, but it was just kind of weird that they did like that. Other things I like about this game too is they give you challenges. So not only do you have just a regular, hey, okay, I'm going to go through this run, I get, so whatever grade I'm going to get, and it opens up more tracks and stuff. But you can go back and they have challenges like you got to do like 10 back flips and 5 front flips, and then you get more experience points and stuff like that. And, they do well for me because Ubisoft's Uplay points or whatever that you can get to their service. They kind of like retooled that recently, and now your points actually expire after a certain amount of time. So I had a whole bunch of points saved up, so I was able to get. There's like a Ubisoft challenge, like from the, I don't know if it's like from the developers or the different people on the team that made the game. So now I can go back and do those challenges too if I wanted to. So there's a lot of options. And the other side of this game where they kind of expanded on from the previous games was the customization, which I always like to do in any game, not just Trials games. But so you can customize your bike, you can customize your rider. So you can put stickers on the bike, on the rider, on a piece of clothing. So it's kind of cool that they have all that kind of stuff. And it does have loot crates, but once again, this is totally, you get it all within the game. I don't think you can even buy these, as far as I can tell. I haven't really looked into it too much, but I don't know if you can buy it with real money or not. And then recently too, they've been doing events. So they had an Easter event this past week, and it might still be going on for this week too. And they had done, I think, at least one other event before this one, maybe two, where it's just you got to do a bunch of different challenges, and you get gear or extra experience points and stuff like that. So I'm really enjoying the games a lot to it. Like I said, I played online. I've touched a little bit on the online. So I think there's two different modes where you can race in like a big. It's like a huge track with like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 people, or you just race against basically ghosts, and you always see the little transparent other riders just kind of going there. So I think that's the other reason sometimes I keep failing and then I want to restart because I want to beat those riders too. So, and that's just me. So I don't know. So I don't know if you got into the online part of it at all.
No, and there's a good chance that I won't. I mean, so this is the kind of game that if I had friends who were like local or within striking distance, it's the type of game that I would want to play with somebody like sitting on the couch side by side, right? But yeah, I just don't know that it would ever. I mean, there's kind of the faux online multiplayer, which is like it's like it reminds me of like Test Drive Unlimited, where you could click a button and say kind of allow people into my game, but nobody ever really like fully comes into your game, right? But you can, when you go to start a run, it shows like 3 other Xboxers, but it's really like their avatar. So I guess maybe in some ways it's more like Forza Motorsport, where
you just see their ghosts basically.
Ish. I mean, they're full like corporeal renders of those players, but I don't have a firm good sense of like those players actually active online on Xbox right now, or like how does it pick?
I think it just like saves their run, because that's what they did in Trials, in the last one. Also Fusion, they did something like that. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just like saves their run. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I haven't gotten into any of the multiplayer aspect of it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, but that's I've been like kind of that's another good game that you just do a couple races and you do a couple of the missions and you're good to go for until the next time. So I finished the US part of it. I don't know how far you've gotten so far. I've gotten to the Europe, I believe.
Yeah, that's where I am now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I've only done like a few runs there, so I'm still
and if you're able to do one run or like a couple runs and then put the game down, you're a better person than I am. I find it's one of those I really have to like force myself to stop playing because because every board is basically a big physics puzzle that you're riding a motorcycle on. So
yeah,
I don't know why I would ever want to stop playing something like that.
Well, just wait until you get those medium and hard ones. Then you.
I've definitely gotten. I mean, I've gotten ones now where like to. Sorry, I had again. I got caught out by the double mute. But I've gotten to ones where what you have to do is you have to ride up an obstruction, but to make it over, what you have to do is you have to ride up this obstruction, backflip onto a platform that's actually above and behind you.
Oh, yeah.
When you started that jump, land, take off, with and then take off with the bike to get over like the next obstruction. So yeah, I think I'm starting to hit some of the definitely medium ones that are higher in complexity.
Yeah, you got to do the bunny hops and like climb up like almost a turtle vertical wall and stuff like that. Those runs are crazy. So
Yeah,
you
right,
can do it,
right.
but it takes a lot of practice. But yeah, why don't you go ahead and do your last game if you want to, which looks like another PS3 game, another racing game.
Yeah, so I'll be real quick. So my other game that I've been playing for the last couple weeks is Gran Turismo 5, which this time I either am more tolerant of the career stuff that used to really kind of drive me bonkers with Gran Turismo 5, or the fact that this is a game that I'm playing now where I am past the emotional state of being angry at the fact that the game took so long to come out on the PlayStation 3. I don't know if you remember, but this was the game that was promised as a launch title originally, and then they walked back that you weren't going to get it as a launch title, but there was this promise of there would be this a Gran Turismo 5 world like mini thing, which I always thought was okay. They'll throw us like a couple tracks and a couple cars or something, but it was literally like one track and one car that was available as a download. And then I want to say there was one other like thing that was like a nerfed version that was like 50% of the content or something like that they actually sold at retail, if I'm not mistaken, before the full game finally came out. So I'm a little bit removed from right the fact that we cover the games industry and being angry, knowing the truth behind the whole thing. So right now, at least when I played it last, right, the joy again, the nostalgic joy of it was going on to those tracks that have been in the Gran Turismo franchise from the very first game and kind of revisiting them, right, and reliving that like childhood or whatever of playing, the Maple Ring and Grand Valley, and Special Stage Route 5. And like I said, revisiting all those old tracks.
Was that a prologue? Gran Turismo 5 prologue? It looked like
Right.
70 cars and 6 tracks. I'm looking at at least on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I think that was the middle thing. So they originally, I thought they originally released like this thing that was like literally one track and one car, and you just played that over and over and over again if that's what you wanted to do. I chose not to, and so I played the track like maybe once or twice, and I was like, whatever. So this time I just had an opportunity to just kind of appreciate the game as it was, I think.
Now how? Because I've never played any of the Gran Turismos once again because it's like semi car racing. But was there a progression system in this? Like, did you start off with like the junkie car, and you have to progress up to like Lamborghini or whatever, like the car they had or whatever?
Yeah. So the Gran Turismo series has never necessarily been one. I mean, I want to say like your first car, you have money and you can always buy something that's quick. Sometimes it's I want to say past versions have locked you into like the reality is there's maybe at most 2 cars that you can actually afford. So your first car winds up being a choice between one of those 2 things, which I think is how this one opens up. But there's also they track you in stats as far as like a seasonal championship. But then there's also like you and your garage and all the cars you collect, and then whatever money you have access. I'm sorry, you still able to hear me?
Yeah, I guess there.
Okay. Yeah, this PC. Yeah. So but yeah, there's a progression system. Like again, you collect cars in your garage. That's part of the progression. But then there's the ye old favorite licensing system that the Gran Turismo games have always had in them that you have to contend with as well.
Okay.
And again, the other interesting thing is going back and playing Gran Turismo 5, and then also having gone back and played Need for Speed. I did not remember or realize that that the year Need for Speed Hot Pursuit came out, not Need for Speed 3, that's an older game. The year Need for Speed Hot Pursuit came out, but it came out this was that was the year Gran Turismo 5 also came out. Forza Motorsport 4 also came out, and there was one other driving game or racing game that came out. So the market was like, and we had this, I think, maybe 2 years ago, 2017. I guess the year that the Crew 2 came out. But there's been a year when we've been doing the podcast and into the whole end of the year thing that like it was like the Crew 2, a Forza Horizon game. I want to say.
Cars maybe, or was that the one?
Project Cars 2,
Project Cars,
yeah. And something else like
probably
came out.
Speed maybe, or
I think it was definitely a crappy Need for Speed. But again, they've pretty much all been not really that great since Need for Speed Rivals. So, but yeah, but interestingly enough, this was a year 2010 that like the car game that most of the games media felt was kind of the darling of the pack was actually the Need for Speed title, which generally doesn't compete well against the likes of like the first party titles in Forza and Gran Turismo that you would think should have kind of been the heirs apparent for their given platforms. So yeah, so it's been interesting, like I said, going back and revisiting those two games.
Nice. Yeah, and I guess if DB was here, he had actually played that Dangerous Driving game, which I guess is Criterion did the Burnout series. Ex-Criterion guys, and he said it harkened back to Burnout, all the Burnout games beforehand. So I guess they had done some other, I don't remember what it was called, but another one before this that was kind of like almost like one mode from Burnout, and now this one kind of is like a more fleshed out game. So yeah, we all got into the racing game this past.
Yeah, I think they released something that was basically like the crash mode.
Yeah, that's
of
what
Burnout Takedown. Yeah.
So yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think I played the original Burnout, and I played like the demo of Paradise, I believe, when that came out. But yeah, I haven't really done too many racing games lately. So my final game, I go back in time here a little bit, a few years, and I started playing Minecraft again with my son. Actually, he brought it up, which always seems to be the case when I jump back into Minecraft. He's talking with his friends and whatever, and they start getting into Minecraft. So he's like, "Oh, I want to play Minecraft." So I'm like, "All right, cool." So we started up. He started up another world. He likes to play creative though. Lately, and he's a pretty good builder. He can build all these like weird buildings and monuments or whatever. And I can't do that. I just I have no artistic. I'm not, I don't have any kind of artistic thing, or obviously this is architecture, but still, you gotta, build stuff. I can do like a little square or rectangle house, I'm good like that. But, we started off first playing survival mode, which is what I usually play, where actually the mobs or the monsters, they'll actually will attack you. And obviously in creative, they don't do that. So he likes to play that. So, that's fine. We play a little bit of survival, because I want to do that. And then we played creative so he can do his, 10-story building or whatever he's building. So we were doing that, and we just kind of fool around. I like to since obviously in creative you can you have everything access to you at that point. I like to just start with the TNT and just blow up stuff. So I just resort to that eventually. I just go back to my GTA roots and just start messing around. So but yeah, that's all pretty much all I had been playing recently. Anything else on your end that you got going?
No, not really. So I'll be kicking off for a session segment in Project Cars VR tonight once we get off the podcast. So
nice.
That'll be.
Have you played that before or no?
I have.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I have. I'm trying to get back into VR, but rather than jump in and try to play something new or get something going, I haven't played before, or something like I would really like to play Star Trek Bridge Crew, but I really feel like I need to find like people that I know to actually play that with. It's not something I really want to go in and play with a bunch of randos. So, but so yeah, I'm going to try to get back into some more VR gaming. But the way I'm going to come in is play some things that I've played before that I know are reliable and will work, and then try and start expanding beyond that.
All right, cool. Yes. I mean, I still want to get some kind of VR headset at some point. So hopefully, it'll keep going. And it seems to be. I mean, there seem to be releasing different versions of like the Oculus has Go now, and Is that the one that's a standalone unit? I can't remember now.
I don't
I know they have.
really. I haven't been tracking the VR, and this is as I wrote like a note down on like my wish list of like stuff that I want. Like I'm like I this is a like it's kind of one of those points where like you build a PC and then for 2 years like you don't pay any attention to like PC technology, and then when you have to upgrade, you're like, what kind of processors are they making now?
Yeah.
It's similar to that for this. Like I bought my Windows Mixed Reality VR headset like last year on a deal.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and but like since then I just haven't paid attention to like what Oculus and Vive or what Oculus and HTC are doing. So yeah, I'd have to go back and look myself.
Yeah, I know they had to go, and then I think there's another SKU. Maybe that was the one that was like that standalone unit, but I know they were talking about it. They wanted to make even another version, kind of like that, but even more powerful, like down the line and stuff like that. I haven't really heard it much from HTC recently, so I don't know if they're still going to make more iterations or what they're doing. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, I guess that's all for our list. I'll go through DBs real quick. He had, like I said, Dangerous Driving, Assassin's Creed Odyssey DLC, which I don't know if believe there's a new one that dropped this past week, I believe, or maybe it was well, couldn't have come up, I guess, if he already played it. But I was just looking at it yesterday too. Now I can't remember. It was another like mythological kind of a deal. So I was playing that, and then Borderlands Game of the Year Enhanced Edition, so on PC. So maybe we'll get to talk a little bit more of that next time. So let's jump into our picks plays assignment for next week, couple weeks, I should say. And this is something I've been pitching because if you don't know, Mortal Kombat 11 has dropped today, and I wanted to have a fighting game themed picks plays. So, like I mentioned, we got Mortal Kombat. Smash is obviously still going strong. Smash Brothers Ultimate. We got DLC that dropped this past week. Joker from Persona games has dropped. That was the first DLC that they've released. I believe they have 5 or 6 more coming throughout the year. Maybe I think actually going into next year. I think like February, March is like the last one they're gonna release. And then we have Samurai Showdown. The newest Samurai Showdown game is coming out in the summer, I believe in June, end of June sometime. And then you had things like Jump Force, and you always have like the Dragon Ball Z games, which is kind of in the same vein. I tried the Jump Force demo or beta, I think it was, and it was all right. It's kind of weird because it's kind of the same graphics and style as the Dragon Ball games, but you're kind of grounded onto the ground. So I mean, you can't really like fly around and punch a guy into a mountain and it explodes and stuff like that. So it was fine for what it was. But so my games are going to be on Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch. I played it a little bit this morning, which I didn't want to talk about it yet because I haven't played. I played like 10-15 minutes so far. So and then which is going to be on the Switch, and then on the Xbox One through Game Pass they actually released Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is the last Marvel vs. Capcom game that they released. So I'm going to play those 2 games. I guess because I don't know if you had your games chosen yet.
No, and this may be one that I wind up abstaining from if I can't find a place like within my own playlist to squeeze something in.
Yeah.
The only thing that I even have, I think that of recent memories, I'm pretty sure I have Injustice and Injustice 2 on PlayStation 4. So if I do wind up jumping in on this one, it'll probably be one of those 2 games.
Nice. Yeah, I think I have 2. I think I got that. I think on sale or something last year. So maybe I might try to jump in that, but more than likely I'll just stick to Mortal Kombat and Marvel vs. Capcom. I know Swiss was probably going to jump into Dragon Ball FighterZ, which was released recently for the Switch, and then I think last year for everything else. And then I'm not sure if DB was going to jump into anything yet. He didn't mention anything. So those are our games for next time. And I believe that is it for tonight. Any plugs you want to go through? Do you have any streams coming up? Oh, sorry, you said you had the VR one. So,
Yep. Yeah, and I guess the only thing I'd plug. So as of this week, I completed my 4 years of research in streaming to all the other live streaming platforms for blocks of time at a time. I had thought that I was going to settle on Twitch to be kind of my permanent base of operations. After a few weeks, I've decided that that is not the choice that I want to make. So I have actually gone back to arguably kind of where it all started. Maybe that's not quite the right term, but basically, I am back on YouTube on my channel, Rounding Off Infinity, which, if you follow me on social media, that's what everything is marked up as and points to. So no rebranding was necessary. I just had to drop some of the intermediate branding that I'd come up with for like my Twitch channel and stuff. So
Nice.
you can find me over there. And I'll be live streaming. I live stream regularly. Not always on time because sometimes there's a technical problem or I get delayed. But generally, for the rest of the month, which is like this week, I am streaming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, generally like 9:30 p.m. Eastern until midnight. So if you ever want to stop by.
Cool. Nice. All right. So I think we'll call it a night. Next up, we have our deep dive, our news show, which is coming up on next Tuesday on April 30th. We should have everybody on, DB and Swiss also. So we'll see if we can get everybody on without any power issues or technical issues, as are want to happen here on the E2KG network. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Episode 90 of the Enough to Keep Going podcast. We will see you next time. Please keep playing those games. And hey, if you want to play along with us on our Picks Plays, do that. Pick a fighting game and tell us in the comments, or you can email us and stuff like that, or comment on the YouTube channel. So until next time, we'll be seeing you.